Hi everybody, my name is Fernando Soares. I'm from Quantum Agency. I'm moderating the panel, the Gold by Origin panel today. I have to tell you that I'm totally biased because I'm a witness of the birth of the Gold NFT, and I had a lot of discussions with the mastermind behind the project, that is Jan Boxler, and I'm totally in love with the project. So don't ask me questions because they will be all in favor, full 1000%. So the speakers, let me introduce you the speakers. We have Paul Meeusen, VP Finance and Partnership of Dfinity Foundation. We have Victor Gailly, Manager Operation for ORIGYN, and he works for BAS also. And we have Dustin Becker, also called Mr. Gold, because it's the lead project of the GLDT, the gold token. So let's go directly with Dustin, where the idea of this gold project come from, and what is the vision?
Okay, thanks a lot for this kind introduction. Well, I mean, we've heard a lot about gold and real-world assets already today in various talks, and I mean, Melissa really went into detail there, and also Yuli mentioned gold in general is really, it's a very safe store of value, and US dollar is becoming less and less powerful in a way of purchasing power. So we really want to basically take gold from its initial function of being a backing of cash, and really having this safe store and transfer method. We want to bring that to the blockchain by tokenizing gold, and basically bringing gold back to its origin. And
okay, thanks for the answer. As a CFO, Paul, are you interested in the project, and if it's yes, why?
Well, I must admit I'm biased probably as well, because I remember when Victor helped me about 6 months ago in this room buying my first NFT. But I guess as a responsible fiduciary duty holder of the treasury of a foundation, so we're a Swiss foundation. So I guess similar to many of you, if you manage the fund of a foundation, a family or a venture fund, your fiduciary duty is to preserve the wealth that you hold, right? So yes, clearly, because what more better store of value is there than gold? And if I think about some of the things that we heard this morning, so the price of gold 20 years ago compared to today, who remembers? ×3. On an inflation-adjusted basis, ×6. So not bad. If you also look at one of the curves that Yulin showed, it is actually non-cyclical. So the last pre-pandemic crisis I was in, I worked in Park Avenue, a couple blocks away from Wall Street. It was a life-changing experience. During that time, 2007 through 10, if you look at that curve, gold did actually very well. When the real economy then recovered after that, gold did not so well. Recently, in the high interest rate years we are now, gold is nonetheless doing very well. So it's very stable store of value. Isn't that what Satoshi wrote also in the white paper? A key function of a currency, store of value. It's been non-cyclical. So yes, there is absolutely a place for that. But I would say, I was thinking a lot about when Victor showed me the last 6 months. So what is different? We hold about single-digit percentage, so something like between 6 to 12% in gold in our treasury, with usual suspect, reliable Swiss banks. So why would I care about buying a gold NFT? And I started realizing that over the last 6 months. The first thing is that quality. I'm not interested in gold that is mined without respect to human rights or ecology. Okay? So can you really trace that origin in normal gold certificates where it's a piece of paper in some ETF? I think that I find very fascinating, like verifiable credentials on the provenance of that gold. Security and solvency. This team seems to have thought a lot through what it is to be an issuer of such, I won't say security, because if you look at their work, they've thought through what it means to get like VQF or SEU type of license in Switzerland. But as a treasurer, I want to make sure that the country risk, where this physical gold is really stored, is well under control. In today's world, unfortunately, we see, that country risk is something you have to take into account for. Your counterparty risk, so who is actually the custodian that holds the gold underlying that NFT? That is a very qualitative, important aspect. And I started realizing that beyond what you normally have on a big piece of paper on some other EFT, what you actually see in digital form here, that is quite attractive. And then the last thing, I mean, I'm an economist as well, so typically you think of stability and safety as inverse with liquidity, right? So something very stable, a piece of art or gold, is typically not very liquid. So interestingly, if you digitize the token with an underlying real asset, if you think about why Satoshi wrote the white paper, it is to be able to transfer value. The internet transfers just information, but the blockchain was designed to transfer legal tender, legal title. And that's really when I started realizing, it took me 6 months, I must admit, since you first showed me, Victor. So if I have the liquidity combined with the solvency and certainty, that is, in summary, what makes this quite attractive.
Okay. Thanks. You have mentioned Victor, so I'm going to bounce on that. Victor, what is the ORIGYN role in this gold project?
So it's very easy. ORIGYN provides the technology to create the NFT. And so why ORIGYN? It's because thanks to the protocol developed since 2 years now, we are able to put a lot of amounts of data inside just one NFT. And also the second point is the fact that it could be also different kind of data, like PDF document, video, high definition image, can be an Excel if you want. So, and all of this at a very low cost. So if you want to do it, for example, on Ethereum, the cost is very too important for a project like this, for example, when you want to trade gold and you want fees that are the lowest as possible. So that's where ORIGYN is in this project, is to provide the technology to create the NFT.
Okay, thank you. So the gold project has 3 phases. We are now in the gold NFT phase, but we are tokenize it. So Dustin, tells us how does the GLDT work, the golden token?
Yes, sure. I mean, you mentioned the 3 phases, and maybe I can quickly elaborate. The phase 1 is this NFT phase, and that's where ORIGYN is very tightly involved. And it's basically creating these gold NFTs, GLD NFTs, that represent physical or ownership of physical gold that is stored in vaults in Switzerland. So you can basically buy this NFT. You get the ownership rights of 1 gram, 10 gram, 1 kilo, or all sorts of sizes of gold. And basically with this, you're somehow bound to the liquidity of NFTs. So what we're doing now is we're doing the phase 2, which is creating fungible tokens based on the non-fungible tokens. So you can go to a smart contract and you can lock up or swap your NFT at a rate of 1 gram for 100 GLDT is what we call them. So these are the gold tokens. And basically with this, we create a fungible way and a much more liquid way of the gold. And now that's phase 2, and I'll go into a bit of details, but the phase 3 of that, and that's actually the vision that you asked in the first question, is that we want to do a real US dollar pegged stablecoin on top of this. So we have like this, the GLD, the fungible tokens, that then act as collateral for a real US dollar-backed stablecoin. So we have this whole chain of, in a way, also transparency. You have the US dollar-backed stablecoin, you have the gold token, which is fungible, you have the NFTs that give basically ownership rights of real physical gold, and you have this whole chain which is fully transparent and really a huge benefit to the whole stablecoin ecosystem. And now how the GLDT itself works, in the end it's a rather simple smart contract. You take the GLD NFT, this NFT, and you swap it in the smart contract, and you get the GLDT at a rate of, like I said, 100 GLD tokens for 1 gram. And this basically, the GLDT, this layer is completely fee-less. You can really just transact those. There's, of course, a very minimal transaction fee that's just technically necessary. But in the end, this is really fee-less, and building on top of this is then the vision for the US dollar stablecoin.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Paul, we need another stablecoin. We have already USDT, USDC.
I think Yulin and Melissa gave the answer this morning. So, what percentage does United States have of the world GDP? Any guesses? What percentage is the United States GDP of the world GDP? Right, so depending how you look at it, 30%. What percentage of stable coins are US dollars? 99. We saw the two this morning. So economically, the answer in short, therefore, is yes, for simple economical reasons. Why can we function in a crypto world where the only stable coin is the US dollar? In addition, we heard Yulin. Satoshi warned us for currency being in danger when it's just printed as if there's no tomorrow. I thought it was getting better when I saw Yulin's graph this morning. It's only getting worse. It's really being printed as no tomorrow, and the debt spiraling of the US dollar seems also through the roof. So, but without even dramatizing too much, I would just say we need one because we need a better equilibrium in the crypto world where a stable coin can not only be denominated in one. And the other aspect, I really liked what Melissa was saying, thinking about when you want to peg something to something of equal value, there must be something better than just one single currency. It could be a basket, like could SDR, which is an existing basket of different currencies, that could be an idea. But having a real underlying stable real asset value that has tripled in value in 20 years at all the stability, yes, I think that makes a lot of sense. And it has taken this type of technology, I think, to ensure that a real asset like gold can be the underlying. And I'm very, very fascinated by this new phase that Dustin was describing. It's a logical phase, I think, from the first NFT, which is non-fungible, but then build on that to get the fungibility that, of course, you need for a stable coin. I think that's, as an economist and as a treasurer, I find that extremely fascinating.
Thank you, Paul. You have questions? Anyone? Yes? Can you just speak a little bit louder and see?
So the question is how we grow the adoption of GLDT afterwards. Okay. I mean, there's kind of two sides to this. You can see GLDT itself as an end product, and you can basically trade GLDT for any other cryptocurrency. You can use it as a stable store of value. You have a fungible token that gives you a direct link to the value of gold. So you have, I don't know, Bitcoin or whatever, and you don't want to stay in Bitcoin, and you want to go into the stable store of asset, and you want to go into gold. Then you can basically trade it for gold, for the GLDT, and then you have the security that you have the stability of the gold price. And the other side is basically that what we just mentioned with the next phase, that GLDT is also an intermediate stage for much more that is built on top of it. So you can build, or you can think of all sorts of DeFi projects, and a simple one is, of course, or not simple, but the most obvious one is that we do the stable coin that is pegged to the US dollar. So this brings a lot of demand in the end for GLDT, and it will basically drive its own adoption, because the more people will want to have US dollars or US dollar stablecoin backed by GLDT, the more GLDT you want to have, the more NFTs you need, and the more physical gold needs to be put in a vault. So it's kind of this whole ecosystem that will drive itself at some point. I hope that answers your question.
If I can add one thing, I'll just maybe share what I would expect for us to adopt. First, do not compromise on reputation. I mean, when we talk these days, I'm a former auditor, so regulation, I'm glad I'm no longer have to do some of these compliance type of things. But we tend to think of regulation as AML, KYC, right? So is a source of your money legal and tax declared? When I came 20 years ago to PwC here in Switzerland, the first thing they did, they sent me to the basement of the national and the largest banks to review records of World War II, of dormant accounts, most of which from Jewish. I never forgot that experience. So the rest is history, right? We worked a lot. I stayed here for the past 20 years. This market worked a lot to deal with some part of history. It didn't get it right the first time, but it takes a lot to build up reputation, and you can lose it very quickly. And I think the source, from a custody point of view, from the security down to the physical security that you guys have been thinking about, to the custodian that has the right licenses, that is really what it is about for me. So it's reputation. That's the ultimate mean. The regulation is just a means to it. And the second thing is a very much more mundane. When I bought the first NFT, for full disclosure, me privately over here, one of my team members, Jean-Armand, who's over there, who's done a fabulous job sailing us through the storm of the last two years as a member of our token finance team, he asked me some very good questions about, hey, Paul, if we ever would do this in a professional way, or family offices or funds like you, how can we have custody of an NFT? How will I show that at the end of the year to our auditors? And I think you have been thinking about this as well. So this is a very basic thing for adoption I would recommend as well. Because classical institutionals, they'd say, okay, nice, but I'd rather just go to Bourdieu and buy regular gold, or I just buy an ETF. That doesn't mean it's not possible. It's just that in the way they classically, for the past 50 years, have been used to do custody is a bit different. And I'm confident you're on the right track to solve that, but sometimes these very simple operational things, like how do I hold custody and prove at the end of the year to my auditor that the number and of the value of the gold is this, that's, whether you like it or not, sometimes the showstopper why people will enter into your innovative product or not. So very basic custody things are a matter of adoption as well, I think.
Yeah, Paul, you are talking about basic. I think adoption comes basically when there is a need. And I think there is a need to make gold liquid, as it was 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, since antiquity. So I think liquidity of gold is a need for the world right now. You have other questions? No questions, everybody's hungry. So let's go dinner, and Paul is here, Dustin also, Victor, you can have a chat one-on-one during the day or tomorrow during the walk. And I believe a lot in this project. All these guys, Dustin is doing an amazing job, Victor too. And what is better than a CFO to believe in the project?
Maybe just before we go into lunch, which is a lot about getting calories, one thought that just came into my mind. If we would take all of the gold, because I'm a former swimmer, so I just remember this anecdote. If we would assemble all the gold in the world, how many 50-meter Olympic-sized swimming pools would it take? So fill up a swimming pool, 3 meters deep, 50 meters long, 15 wide, I think, with gold. How many swimming pools would it take? When I last checked, 3.5. So imagine all the gold in the world, which is $12 trillion, which is 24 times more than all the value of Bitcoin. And to prove the idea of scarcity, and by the way, all that gold that there will ever be, we know. And we know that there's only 20% unmined, right? And we know exactly in which mines it is. So if you add it all up, this fits basically into 2 times, maybe 3 times this floor. So as you go into lunch, to give the very practical idea about scarcity, that is what it is. And somehow over the past 100 years, we've used this idea of scarcity, of things that we can fit into 3 buildings, 3 floors in this building. This has become one of the most powerful currencies. But it's difficult to move these blocks of gold out of this building, right? And this is, I guess, what we are here about, where the digital world enables us to do that mission impossible. So, with that, enjoy lunch.
Very good analogy.